Well, hello folks. It's just coming up for 11:30 in the morning. I am recovering from a flu here. My voice is gone. But I'm going to try and struggle through this little introduction to Speed Coding Academy 2. I want to do a video just outlining some of the differences between Speed Coding Academy 2 and Speed Coding Academy 1. So I hope you like my very egotistical desktop background here. Yes, I am that egotistical. And I have this incredibly well produced thing here where I'm going to just walk you through some of the changes that we'll be making as we move forward. So let's talk about the bigger picture. As far as the bigger picture goes, the need for speed is greater than ever. We are, of course, at the end, hopefully, of this ghastly pandemic episode, and over the last year or so it has been heartbreaking to receive emails from past clients who have maybe been in business for 15 years, and they'll send an email saying, unfortunately, we have to close shop. It's been really horrific, an economic holocaust actually. However, I think that as we move forward, especially as we move into March, April, May of 2022, those entrepreneurs are soon going to discover that actually it's not so easy landing a job at McDonald's flipping hamburgers. And those entrepreneurs, bless them all, they are the tigers. They are the people who make the lights go on at night. And I can assure you, they're going to have to restart. Thank heavens. Now, when they restart, it might be different. They may have different business models or whatever. But together, we stand at the precipice of the greatest economic recovery known to humanity. And there's going to be a need for millions of commercial web apps to be built. And if you can build those apps quickly, then I think you can make a fortune, quite frankly. I think that this is the greatest opportunity in the history of web development. Now, I started in 1996, leading right up to the dot-com boom. I've often said on my first day, I made the equivalent of $6,500. However, what's coming up is going to make all of that stuff look like chicken feed. And if you can build apps quickly, let me tell you, the world is your oyster. Now, moving on. Web development has become the UFC. And what I mean by that is, you remember I don't know about martial arts or anything. As far as I can tell, it's grown men rolling around in the underwear, and that's fine if that's what you're into. But I remember back in the early 90s, the original UFC came on TV, and it was like a sumo wrestler going against a karate guy, going against a kickboxer, going against somebody else, And never before had we seen this, where people from all these different disciplines are competing. And that's kind of what's happened to web development lately. I mean, in the past, web development was a little subcategory of IT. We had programmers, designers, we had mobile app developers, and somewhere along there was this little subgenre, let's say, called web development. Well, that has all changed. If you're going to be a web developer today, then I have news. Your competition is now everybody. You are now competing against all of those React Native developers, the Flutter developers. You're competing against the C programmers, Python programmers, all of those .NET characters, the angry .NET characters, because let's face it, the marketplace has ignored their technology. And so we have to really raise our game, and that's why I say nobody wants to hire a competent developer. Trust me on that. It's much easier to make the decision to be a great developer. I can assure you, life is a whole lot easier when you go out into the marketplace and you say to clients, look, I'm no Einstein, but I'm one of the fastest developers in the world. It's a beautiful thing, and that's what you should be aiming for, in my opinion. Today, I think there are now two types of developer. Those who build stuff and those who just import code from libraries. There's an entire generation of developers, particularly from the JavaScript community, I have to say, who are in the habit of just importing stuff. They've never actually built anything. All they do is go to a site like NPM, import a library, and that's it. Now, I think that's a very bad practice, and not only that, but I think it's a very dangerous place to be in. I want you to be in this category here, the kind of developer who builds stuff. I can assure you, not only will you sleep a lot more comfortably at night, but you'll find that you're able to build code that has less overheads. That means better benchmarks and better stability than anything that these turkeys waiting for Christmas are gonna come up with. Anyway, as far as Speed Coding Academy 2 goes, my goal is pretty much the same as it has always been. For you to be able to build any app that any client could reasonably ask for. I can assure you, it's easier than you think. When I left school, I was a pizza delivery guy. In fact, I had a summer job before that where I was a toilet cleaner. And I have no formal computing qualifications. I studied philosophy at uni. Actually, I did do computing for 1 year, but I scored 0% on the exam. That's no joke. I scored 0. I remember looking at the results board and everybody was laughing. And I came along, this was at Glasgow Uni, about 1995, and I looked on the board and I had 0. So very quickly I moved over to philosophy and I had deep thoughts about delivering pizzas. So if I can do this, you can definitely do this. Next, I would like for you to be in the top 1% of developers in terms of production speed. This is so easy. This is easy. It's really, really easy. And the other framework makers are making this easy for us. Because if you take Laravel, for example, the most popular server-side framework at the time of doing this video, well, Laravel is the most frequently rewritten PHP framework. They keep on rewriting everything. And every time they rewrite stuff, that means that their community has to stop, fix all of their code, learn new stuff, do a handstand, blah, 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 and then move forward. So the world has made this easy for us. Same goes for Symfony. They had a new version, came out about, 4 days ago. So this is going to be really, really easy. And have faith. I can assure you it's not as difficult as you think. Alright. Now, as far as Speed Coding Academy 1 goes, I want to talk about the things that I got right first time around. I think that starting from complete ground zero was good. So if we have a little sneak peek, here we are. And the way that Speed Coding Academy works is there's training material here. Now, the training material does have a few small projects in there. And you go through the training material and then you go on to these bigger projects. Excuse me. I think that it was a good idea to start from ground zero, to start from a position where you assume that nobody has any experience at all, and that's exactly what I did. I think it was a good decision. Next, teaching how to build large-scale production apps was good, and again, 3 cheers for me. So if I take you through some of the projects here, we did, for example, build an online jewellery shop. This is by far the most comprehensive e-commerce training anywhere on the web. Show me anyone who teaches this more thoroughly, and I will show you that I'm twice as in-depth as anyone you can find out there. We cover payment gateways, we cover invoice generation, order handling, everything. Everything you could imagine is here. And even, look at this one, build a speed coding academy clone. So show me, where is the course where you learn how to build the platform? You know, imagine signing up to Udemy and there was a course called Build Udemy. It's ridiculous, but that's what happens. I show you, here's how you build a video learning platform. Here's how you build the private members area. Here's how you stream videos via AWS CloudFront. Nobody on YouTube is teaching this, by the way. Nobody on Udemy. I cannot find anybody teaching this, at least not an up-to-date version. We cover it all here. And by the way, quick shout to Smitty, who's a member of Speed Coding Academy. I saw from the news today that he's now launching his own video learning platform using these techniques, and that's fantastic. Best of luck. So we do big giant projects here. We have a machine learning thing. We have a vehicle ordering system with over 5 million rows of database information. I actually built vehicle order systems that get used by about 80% of car manufacturers. So I'm going to show you how to use, or how to build rather, the car ordering systems that are being used by companies like BMW and Mercedes-Benz. Again, nobody's teaching this kind of stuff. The courses that I'm looking at, whenever I look around, it's how to build a to-do list, you know, how to build a picture gallery. Well, we are going way, way beyond all of that stuff. I think it was a good decision. Next, I think that the essentialometer was good as well. I mean, that was just an idea I had, which was, like, isn't it annoying when you learn something and you're kind of thinking, do I even need this? Think about your time learning maths at school. I remember looking at all of that calculus and saying, what use is this? Well, here we have the essentialometer. It's not anything particularly clever. In fact, it's just a little chart that I imported from somewhere. But I figured, why not just tell people if they need stuff or not? If something's really essential, tell them. But if it's not, if they can just quickly browse over it or even leave it, then why not just tell them? I think that was a good idea. Alright, so here's the things I got wrong with Speed Coding Academy 1. Using third-party libraries. This was a huge mistake. So, to give you an example, there was a point in the training, I think it was perhaps doing the Speed Coding Academy clone, I'm not sure. But there was one of the moments where I had been using all of these third-party libraries throughout the training. You know, CSS libraries, JavaScript libraries, and so on. And I remember I discovered a fantastic CSS library called Blueprint. Now, maybe I can even show you this thing. Why not? Why not? So I discovered this thing, and it was for doing web page layouts. Here it is here. And I thought to myself, this is fantastic. I loved it. It was so easy. It was fast. Everything was great. And it is great. It's brilliant. And I got in touch with the guy and I said, I really love your CSS library. I've been using it in the training and I just wanted to say congratulations. And you know what his response was? His response was, wait until you see version 3. And sure enough, I can see that he's now got version 3 out. He's actually on to 3.1. And no doubt version 4 is just around the corner. Now, the moment he said, wait till you see version 3, it's due in a couple of weeks' time. At that moment, I made a decision. I'm never using third-party libraries ever again. So God bless you, Blueprint CSS, but we're not doing this anymore. So using third-party libraries was a huge mistake. It was a mistake because when you use third-party libraries, you are adding built-in obsolescence. This is not rocket science, folks. You know, when you get an email in the middle of the night that says, "Hey, your stuff's now out of date." Yay! Well, that's not a good thing. I want you to be able to build stuff, put it online, and leave it there for 5, 10, maybe even 20 years. That's what I'm aiming for. Alright. Next, I think that the speed drills were incredibly well intentioned and a really great idea, but ultimately an idea that was futile. So, just so you know, I have, I still have actually, they're still up, these videos where I would use music, maybe a drum beat or something, and we would type lines of code over and over and over again. And I had this idea, why don't we make coding like almost like a sport, and we'll try and get muscle memory and stuff like that. Now that was a great idea on paper, but in reality, I've kind of changed my mind about it because I've realised that real speed has nothing to do with how many words per minute you can type. Honestly, that's the wrong idea. Instead, there's a lot better ways to become faster, and it has nothing to do with what kind of keyboard you use or whether you're doing those speed drills or something. So this was a great idea at the time, but it's just not for me anymore. I've moved on. Next, building a framework and recording several hundred videos at the same time was crazy. So, in case you don't know the story, Speed Coding Academy, the original one, came about because I got hired by a company. I'll show you the company. They're good people. I got hired by this company here by the name of Ideal Vehicle Leasing. So they hired me a few years ago, and they're a good bunch. They're fine people, God bless them. They hired me to build an app for their call centre, and I had built that kind of app before, and I thought that I could build it in 3 months. And let me tell you folks, 3 months went by like this, and I hardly made a dent. And it was a terrible time, very stressful. And I realised that web development is too slow. So this was the straw that broke the camel's back. And it was not their fault, it was mine, you see. So this was the job or the client, whatever, that made me decide there has to be a better way. So I came up with this code generator for a framework by the name of CodeIgniter. Maybe I can show you that. So I spent 6 months building, oh there you go, there's the CodeIgniter site. Gee. Anyway, I spent 6 months working on this thing, and as soon as it was finished, they sent me a fabulous email saying, "Great news, a new version has come out." And I just thought, I've had enough. I cannot do this anymore. So when Speed Coding Academy 1 came out, I would say within about 3 days of the doors opening, I had an email come in saying, "By the way, the thing that you've built is now out of date." And I had to make the most difficult decision in my whole career, which is, do I tell everybody that we're going to use a technology that's out of date? I mean, look at this, the site's not even working. I'm sure it'll be fixed by the time you watch this. But are we going to use something that's just broken? Or am I going to do the unthinkable and just build a framework of our own that's specifically for people who want to code really, really quickly? This is an insane proposition, but I decided to do that. And what I discovered is building a framework and recording all of those videos was crazy. It was too much. And I have to give thanks to Simon, because that son of a gun, he went and started up a forum, and for more than 1 year he was offering technical support. He never even charged anybody or anything, and there's no question that were it not for him, and his username is Daffa, were it not for him, we would not be here. Because he could see that I had far too much on, and it was terrible. I was overwhelmed, and I think it showed in the videos as well. I would be building something in the morning and then teaching it in the evening. It was insane, and it did come across in the videos. You could hear the surprise in my voice, like, this actually works. That was insane. So I'm never going to do that again. I don't think anyone is going to do that again, actually. Now, here's how Speed Coding Academy 2 will be different. We're going to have avoidance of third-party libraries, no speech required. The lessons are going to be more compact and more direct. I'm going to try very hard to keep the lessons as short as possible. I don't want to put any specific number on that, but let me just say that I think I can get through the material with about 60% of the video content this time. So you're going to see that. Now, instead of building a framework and recording the videos, well, now we're going to be using a stable, battle-tested framework that has been built specifically for speed and stability. And I am speaking, of course, about the Trongate framework. And here it is here. This is really the Speed Coding Academy framework. It was only because of the people who joined Speed Coding Academy that this was even possible. And it's ready, and it's good. So we're going to be using this. By the way, I did a test, and with Trongate, I am 31 times more productive than I was with CodeIgniter, just to give you an idea. There's going to be less emphasis on mechanics, so as I've already mentioned, I no longer care about how many words per minute you type. It's ridiculous. We're not going to worry about that. I don't really care about what kind of keyboard you use. We're moving away from that. And instead, there's going to be more emphasis on code reuse. And you'll see many, many times throughout the Speed Coding Academy 2 training where you are able to build stuff faster than you can verbally describe it. It's a beautiful thing, and it has nothing to do with typing quickly, which is good. Finally, I'm going to make more natural videos. Previously, I was trying really hard to make all of the videos 100% perfect. And I remember times when I spent maybe 6 hours on a 10-minute video, and it was ridiculous, you know, zooming in and doing things like this. And there's really no need. It doesn't really help anyone. So now I'm going to try and make the videos a lot more natural. And the result of that is, I think you're going to just have a more authentic experience. And I think that together we'll be able to get through a whole lot more stuff quicker. So that's pretty much it. That's my little summary of what's coming up for Speed Coding Academy 2. I don't know what I'm going to do with this video. Maybe I'll chuck it on YouTube. Maybe I'll chuck it on Speed Coding Academy, but in any event, I hope that this has been useful. Cheers!